Welcome to the Hunt Performance YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos related to health and human performance. Today we'll talk about the lactate threshold. I will start with giving you background information about what it is. Then I will get into factors that influence it, such as blood lactate, lactic acid, and exercise. And I will finish it off with a summary slide. First, I have to explain the lactate threshold. It's the point at which the body produces and clears lactate in the blood at the same rate. The units used are millimole per liter of blood and can only be calculated by a blood lactate test during exercise. To show as an example, the x-axis shown is exercise intensity, while the y-axis shows both blood lactate buildup and the rate the lactate gets cleared. In this figure, the lactate threshold is where the two lines cross, shown as the red star, at an intensity of about 7 on a 0 to 10 scale. You can even feel the difference in your muscles as you reach beyond this threshold during exercise. Shown in the circle, for example, in a 200-meter sprint, you start off as fast as you can, then you reach a point where you feel like you cannot power your legs any longer at the same intensity that you started with. You start to feel that terrible burn in your legs that begins to hold you back. This is a perfect example of what a high amount of lactate does to you. This is also known as muscle fatigue. The best athletes in the world, like these sprinters, have trained their bodies to increase that lactate threshold in order to delay the onset of fatigue from lactate buildup. But let's talk about how it is made and why we feel that fatigue at high intensities. Lactic acid is a byproduct that our bodies produce as an additional source of energy during exercise. The muscles thrive on oxygen for fuel, which is using aerobic energy. But at high intensity, oxygen runs out and the muscles are left to use lactic acid, which is anaerobic energy. In low intensity exercise, oxygen is the fuel, which means it is below the lactate threshold. Whereas high intensity exercise doesn't have enough oxygen to keep up, so it runs on lactic acid, meaning it's exercise above the lactate threshold. Lactic acid being used produces lactate that builds up in the bloodstream. The excess lactate's byproduct is hydrogen ions, which make the blood more acidic and making it hard for muscles to contract. This is also known as fatigue. When it comes to sports, particularly endurance sports where the lactic threshold comes into play most, the goal is to increase that threshold through training. If you are over that threshold, you will not be able to hold that pace for long. A large amount of aerobic training can actually push that lactate threshold higher when competing in endurance sports. Anaerobic sessions 1 to 2 times a week will be beneficial to the strength aspect of your training as well. To figure your lactate threshold during a workout, speak a 7-word sentence. And if you catch yourself having to gasp for air in that sentence, you are likely over that threshold. Overall, your lactate threshold is important for determining your ability to perform a prolonged exercise. It is the happy medium where lactate is produced and cleared from the body at the same rate. Endurance athletes keep this threshold in mind during training and in competition. Otherwise, they will exhaust themselves over time. And finally, aerobic training is key to improving your lactate threshold. So make sure you are able to speak during exercises. You don't have to exhaust yourself. Now that you understand this, a great video to pair this one with is the training intensity video on my channel. Thanks for checking out this Hunt Performance video. on the lactate threshold. Hopefully you use this knowledge to perform better from here on out. If you do, make sure you like and subscribe for more.